your girl Angel.
And this is your girl Kiara.
And we are the
Mix
Match. Listen, we are coming with another episode, and I'm so excited. I don't know if you guys haven't watched the last episode. You trying to sneak your way into watching the second episode? I need you to put this video on pause, go back to the first episode right now, and go tune in because it was such a good episode. You guys were getting to know us, and we dive deep into friendship, and it was just a wholesome conversation.
Absolutely.
However, tonight we is dealing with all this BS.
Okay. BS. And I know some of y'all out there talking about some,
Yeah, I'm tired of your BS.
I'm tired of your BS too. But what does the BS stand for?
We're dealing with boundaries and secrets.
Ooh. So first of all, make sure that you guys subscribe if you have not already.
Yes.
And then click play and come back, and then we're going to get on into it.
Right. All right, guys, we're back. Listen, I want you to get comfortable. If you're laying in the bed, that's fine. But get comfortable and tune in as we deal with all this BS. Kiara, BS, boundaries and secrets. Boundaries and secrets. This is such a good topic to talk about, especially in friendships, because a lot of people don't know the limit.
Absolutely.
Or they don't, sometimes, friendships, you see a lot of people keeping things back
100%.
From their best friend. And it's just like, a lot of people believe that if I'm your friend, and if you hold me in such regard, then I believe that I'm entitled to certain things.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to deal with that. Like, we're really going to deal with that because although you can be my best friend and although we can be friends, brothers and sisters, just because you are that in my life doesn't mean that you are entitled to certain things that goes on in my life or certain secrets or all that good stuff. So we're going to deal with that.
So I figured that we would start here. So one, really just describing what it is a boundary and a secret is. And I feel like let's deal with the secret side first. I feel like when we hear the word secret, we hear the term secret, we automatically go to a place where it is purposely withheld information. Right? That you have not disclosed. And for whatever reason, whatever that place, whatever that feeling stems from, you have decided intentionally something I'm just not going to reveal. This is something that I'm probably going to keep to myself. And I think sometimes in friendships, secrets can be damaging. They can be hurtful. But also you can still give grace to an extent because maybe there's a level of comfort that the friend hasn't come to. Maybe there's a level of vulnerability that they're not comfortable with, or maybe there's something in your friendship. Maybe they just don't feel safe enough to share. And so I feel like you have to also reflect and give grace to, okay, maybe why didn't this person share this? Or is it something that I need to know? And I know for me personally, one of the ways that I measured friendship was by what it is that I knew about you. And I feel like, to a regard, best friends, I should know you. Like, hold up to the people. You should not be out here living double lives, like double agents, like your best friends, like Christian by day, whatever you are by night. Like, okay, let's have some level. But I felt to a certain extent that in my friendships, like there should be a level of transparency that's between both parties.
Absolutely. And what I believe, I think that will help people differentiate, if that person is actually your friend or if that's a person that's an acquaintance. Because like what Kiara said, is that if I consider you as my friend, if I consider you as my best friend, I know for me that if I claim and say that you are my friend, everything about my life is uncovered before you. That's just
open.
Literally. And what I notice is that if I'm withholding some level of information from you, or if I'm withholding, like intentionally withholding information from you, it's because one, there is maybe some trust issues there, or I really just don't consider you as my friend. And I think people really need to identify correctly. All right. Is that person really your friend? Because if she is, or if he is, you wouldn't have no problem sharing whatever it is.
And open it up.
Yeah, and open it up.
I think you have to definitely get to a level of vulnerability and friendship and transparency and work at it.
Right.
And I feel like what happens is, even with what you guys learned about us last week, is even coming from two different worlds, from a person's perspective or from two different perspectives, vulnerability can be something that is a blessing. For some, they could feel like it's a curse. For some, you feel like it's a tool. Other feels like it's a hindrance. Because depending on what you've worked out internally and emotionally within yourself, you could feel like vulnerability is your access to tear me down. Vulnerability is your access. So some people, I feel like, keep secrets because it's kind of
a little bit deeper.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one-up. Like, you're not going to get to know everything about me just in case I want to exit, just in case, you know, one day we get into an argument. Like, you're not going to be able to pull anything, you know, on me.
And I encounter that in, you know, friendships in the past.
So have I.
Individuals who I was friends with, where it was just, they was having a hard time with that level of vulnerability because of the fact that they had experienced some level of trauma.
Correct.
Some level of hurt from their previous relationship. And now, like we talked about on our last episode, is you now get into a new friendship, a platonic relationship, and you begin to sabotage you know, this new relationship that the Lord has blessed you with because of the fact you are projecting what that previous relationship done to you.
Exactly.
And so now you gotta heal.
Right. Carrying that trauma over here. I ain't did nothing to you.
No, seriously.
I ain't did nothing to you.
Seriously.
I ain't did nothing to you. But I think that it's so important that people begin to differentiate and address those things, because I feel like once you notice that maybe I'm not as comfortable, I feel like that's something that you need to visit within yourself first. And later on, if you feel like that needs to be addressed in friendship, like, why am I not comfortable? Or why is there a place where I feel like I want to keep this secret, or I want to keep, or, you know, and outside, because secret and boundaries are two different things. So I want us to be very clear on that. Like, there's a difference between a secret and a boundary. Boundaries are good. Boundaries are healthy. Boundaries create long-lasting friendships, because there has to be a level of respect in friendship. Love is good. Fun is great. But if there's no respect in your friendship, that is a problem. And I think some people, while you are full in other areas, you lack self-respect and you lack respect of the other party. And so when we talk about boundaries, we talk about a place of respect, a place of like, okay, this is something that we just don't cross. And so I feel like you have to differentiate between the two. Definitely between the two. Boundary is a place that I have set up. It is a rule, if you want to. It is a term. It is something that I've set up that is like, this is where this stops. When we talk about boundaries, you often go to a place where you're like, you can't go past this place. If that's in arguments, if that's in whatever in my life, like whatever that looks like there's a place in arguments. For example, I feel like you should never go in your friendships. Like, I feel like there should be a clear boundary between us having healthy confrontation, even in our disagreements, versus me crossing over into a place of disrespect. Because like I said, if there's no respect as a friend, that's a problem. So beware. Red flag, purple flag, green, whatever. Not even green flag. Black flag. There's no respect.
Now, I have to make this point. Do you think that when an individual accidentally cross a boundary, do you think that it's necessary for that friend to walk away? Because I know in our friendship, you know, we had some growing pains and we had to work through a lot of things, and there were moments where I crossed boundaries that you know, was actually disrespected. And it was disrespected, and it was disrespectful towards Kiara. Whether that was my aggression that I had to work through by the grace of God, or whether it was her shutting down. Like, there were certain things that we just found very disrespectful towards each other, especially if we consider ourselves friends. It's just like, okay, these are the boundaries that we're just not going to cross. You're not going to sit there and try to ignore me, silence me, and like use that as a tool. To me, I just feel like that's very disrespectful. And then to her being a grown woman, it's just like, you ain't gonna talk to me
you
like I'm a child.
me, right? Exactly.
Right.
But also learning both boundaries. So
right.
then you have to get to a place where you are meeting in the middle.
Right.
So like you said, you're not going to ignore me because that is also disrespectful. You're not going to dismiss my feelings, but I'm also not going to be talked to any sort of way.
Right.
And also working with each other. But what I also feel like is necessary, I feel like when people go to a place where they begin to cross a boundary, you can pinpoint an area that has not been dealt with. You can kind of perceive or
like
kind of know, like hidden, like that's something that probably was not dealt with, and so you felt the need to kind of jab me like that because you've either been carrying something or you've been doing something that you feel like, all right, well, I'm gonna kind of hold this. And some people, believe it or not, I feel like hold on to stuff until the next time I'm offended.
Right.
So I'm gonna hold that. I'm not gonna address that, but you best believe next time we get into it, boom.
And it's just like, y'all, oh my gosh, I used to have those encounters all the time. You could be having a conversation with a person and, you know, the conflict, again, we talked about last time, healthy confrontation. And then out of nowhere, it's just that they just start going off. And it's just like,
come from? Like, geez.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? So that was very good. Like, that was very good.
No, that's a place I feel like you have to learn how to, in the moment, even when tension, emotions may be high, really learn how to stop and really analyze and really check in with yourself. Like, wait a minute, where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? Why is it that I feel the need to bring up, and you'll hear us say this a lot, that's why healthy confrontation is necessary, because there shouldn't be things that if I'm bringing up something in December, why in the world are we bringing up something in January? Because, and learning how to do that, because I've been guilty of that. I feel like people have been guilty of that, because you feel like, okay, I need to hold this, or I'm not going to say anything. And I know for me, when I used to do it, I would either be a little hesitant to bring things up because I didn't want people to gaslight me. Like, you're not going to disrupt, you're not going to dismiss rather, my emotions, and, you know, just kind of be like, oh, well, that's not really what I meant. Or, you know, you're being too sensitive. It's like, no, I know what I see and I know what I feel, but I would be hesitant. So then the next time it happened, or the next time it occurred, like I had a bad habit of not bringing up stuff, and then you make me mad. To all of those out there who've experienced that with me, receive my apologies. Receive my apologies. But I had a bad habit of, you know, I'm gonna let that quote unquote roll off my shoulder. And then one day we're talking about popsicles, and it's just like blah, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? So I feel like you can always pinpoint it back to a hidden offense or unresolved issue.
Absolutely. And you know what just came to my mind is that what happens when you have a boundary that is offensive to the friend, right? Because there has been, I remember in particular one situation where I had a boundary and they didn't like it. And it was just like, okay, you know, what do you do with that? Because there are some things that you put in place in your life where you have established it as a limit, whether that was for your emotions, physically, whatever that is the case. And that person is offended by that boundary. It's just like, what do you do? Is that a time for you to exit? Is that a time for you to reconsider that friendship? Or is that a moment for you to sit there and have a conversation with that friend and try to come to a place of resolve or a common ground?
Yeah. Every hard place is not an exit place. One. Every place that has its rough patches does not mean that it's time to exit. What that means is that that's a call for conversation. I feel like when you visit a rough patch. And so I feel like, one, there's a difference between someone who doesn't understand the boundary or who wants more understanding versus someone who has made up in their mind that I'm just going to disrespect the boundary that you've set. And I feel like when we get into that, you can see the level of care or the level of like respect again that you have for me, because it's one thing for me to be like, okay, so why do you have this boundary? Like, why is it that you feel this way? Have conversation, come to an understanding. And even if I'm uncomfortable, even if I don't understand, and you give me grace to kind of work through it, and, you know, just kind of maybe I feel differently, you know, there's grace for that. I feel like let's work together. You know, I may not be used to a boundary that Angel has set. She may not be used to something I set, but we're willing to work towards like, okay, now I got some understanding.
Because if I say no, I mean no. Some of y'all don't like that word no. Y'all need to get delivered.
And don't ask me again.
Right.
But also, on the flip side of that, just kind of versus the person that just is like, I know, for example, like I know Angel doesn't like strawberries. Like, and I know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I know that, she actually doesn't like strawberries. But if I know, okay, Angel doesn't like strawberries, I'm not going to keep, okay, well, I'm going to just eat strawberries in Angel's face and I'm going to just bring them in her car. Okay, so you've decided that you're just going to be disrespectful. Now, that's a place where we have to discuss, like, okay, I'm not going to be intentionally and just intentionally disrespected. Like, I'm not going to be disrespected when you purposefully, like, have purpose in your mind, like, all right, on purpose, I'm going to just be disrespectful. Like, that's a place that you have to, that's a boundary that's like, oh no, I'm not going to be disrespected. No. No.
Even in the context of, you know, our faith walk, there's boundaries that we have, like, even as best friends that hold each other accountable.
100%.
There's certain things that I'm not going to sit there and allow us to do. There's certain things that I'm not going to allow her to do, or I'm not even going to become a stumbling block for her. Like, even when it comes down to purity, there's certain, you know, certain conversations, certain things that we're not going to indulge in.
Correct.
I remember one time, like with Kiara, and I'm about to get a little bit juicy right now. During that time, you know, struggling with lust, I told my sister, I said, listen, sister, I cannot have certain conversations.
Absolutely.
Like, I cannot. And I know to some, it's just like, oh, you just being too deep. No. The Bible says, you know, when you are in that place of deliverance, you have to take extreme measures of discipline.
Absolutely.
Extreme measures of discipline. And so I was like, no, we cannot talk about when we get married and this is what we're going to do. No. I can't. Not where I'm at. And that was just the measures that I had to take in order for me to stay in that place of liberty until I get to that place where I can handle that stuff. Right. Now I can handle that stuff. Me and Kiara can talk about, you know, certain conversations, you know.
And even in that, we still just know where to, like, okay, because you have to even be careful in general, because conversations are open doors. And so you have to be very careful about what it is and how much you divulge. You know, of course, us being best friends, we've been best friends for years now. We've gone through puberty, like, and being grown women, there's conversation that we have as best friends, and us being young women that we naturally have, right? But there's also a place where we're just like, okay, maybe we're not going to go beyond that. And even in that, me respecting her boundary also came from a place of, I have a boundary when it comes down to that. Me being a virgin, I just have a boundary when it comes down to certain things that I'm not going to do, that I'm not going to discuss, like I'm not going to do. And I understood where she was coming from, because if you're desiring to live pure, like you said, as your friend, I'm not never going to be a stumbling block, like, to the best of my ability. So automatically the conversation shifts, right? And so now I know every time we come over here, we're not talking about sex. We're not talking about, like, you know, we're not going to talk about things that will cause you to stumble after I leave. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So I think also with that, people who are intentional about their respect, and it all boils down, I feel like, to the respect. Where there's no respect, I feel like there could be no real boundary. Like, there can't be a boundary that you respect, because you don't respect me. Right. Like, if you don't respect me, then what is it? What are we doing? What are we doing? Right. You know, because you don't respect me. Now, on the flip side, when we get into secrets and we get into certain things, I feel like, one, there has been, I think, would you say, like, we keep, like, secrets?
No, we don't.
I don't think so. And I will say this. I remember one time we were talking and I told Angel, like, there was like a level of transparency that she was talking about, like, you know, I want, you know, Kiki to be open, and I want, you know, you to be, you know,
Kiki never used to share a lot of things with me, because she felt like I didn't share a lot of things with her, so it was just like this hesitation. Just like,
oh, absolutely, that. But then also too, with that, sister, right? With that also, like I would tell Angel, I felt like there was a level that I couldn't get to because there were certain things that I had not gone through. So like I would tell Angel, if she's actively going through something, right, that I've never been through, like there's certain things I feel like I can't meet you on that level. Like my secret may look different than what your secret may be. And that was another discussion that we had as friends, because I'm like, how do I share? But I'm like, yo, at this point I have nothing to share.
Right.
Because like through this season, there's not really anything that I'm met with that I'm like, yo, I need to call Angel about this, or I need to confide in her this place. So you also may find yourselves in different seasons than your friends, right? And that's okay. There's grace for that. Right. But also being transparent, that's like, maybe right now I'm not actively working through a trauma. I'm not actively working through something. So that may look different for you, or, you know, it looked different for me.
Exactly. And also, in addition to that, a lot of things that I didn't share with Kiara wasn't because of I didn't trust her, or it wasn't because I had any trauma issue, or although 3%, you know, probably 5 was the reason for that. But I preserved a lot of things from Kiara because, again, there was a lot of things that Kiara did not encounter.
Correct.
And like I told Kiara before we had this conversation in the past, there was a certain reverence that I had for Kiara. Mm-hmm. Anybody know Kiara? She's a mother in Zion. She's a mother in Zion. And so certain things, it was just like, I respect Kiara. I respect my best friend. And I hold her to such a standard mm-hmm. and under a certain light that I'm not going to bring this issue to her. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then on the flip side of that too, mm-hmm. while she was maintaining respect, mm-hmm. for me, I felt closed out and left out because, like I said earlier, my measure of friendship looks like not with just what I can share with you in good times. My measure of friendship is also like, what do I look like behind closed doors? What do I look like in bad times? Right. Like what the world may not see. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of felt like, that's so good. Like, I'm so glad you respect me, but can you please like tell me? And I would feel like that because at one point in time, our, maybe other friends, maybe other people, maybe other things that we've done, mm-hmm. Other people could kind of maybe talk to her about certain things. Yes. There was a level that I didn't have. Right. So I kind of also felt like.
So, what did you feel like? I'm sorry if you were finished.
No, go ahead.
You were finished? Absolutely, sister. That was so good. Now, I know I told you what was one boundary that I lacked and how that affected me. Mm-hmm. Now, share with the people a boundary that you lacked in friendship, whether that was between us or, friendships in the past, friendships now that you have. Mm-hmm. What is something that you lacked and how it has affected you?
So, I could say one boundary that I did lack overall, I felt like to a degree in all my friendships, mm-hmm. was just, if it was a no, it wasn't always just left like that. I always felt the need to have to explain.
Wow.
Because it was expected of me to kind of be like, well, we could do what we want, but Kiara can't do or say or feel how she wants to feel. And so I encountered that a lot, whether it was by like, hey, I don't want to go here, or hey, I don't want to do this, or hey, I'm not going to do that. There was always like a push. It was always like a this. And hear me very well. I feel like in friendship, we get to the point, like, I know, like, right, sometimes, like, I would call Angel and be like, Angel, I want to go to Insomnia Cookies. And Angel would be like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'd be like, you get chocolate chip cookies. Like, there's, like, a little push. You're just like, all right. Like, all right. But there's a certain level that you get to where it's just, like, you're really not respecting what I'm saying. Like, I said no. You're like, I'm not doing it. And I always felt the need to explain because people either treated me some sort of way if I didn't go along with what they wanted. So that was like a struggle, right? Because then I always felt the need to have to be like, okay, it has to be a yes. Well, I can't really say too much because then they're going to act funny or they're going to act funky. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to deal with the fallout. So, right, let's just go with the punches until you get to a certain level where it's just like, no, I have to put my foot down. Right. And then when I have to put my foot down, unfortunately, it would be not so nice. Okay, this is why you deal with stuff before you get to not so nice. And just really gently be like, it's a no. It's a no. It's a complete sentence and I'm not doing it. And it does not always require me to explain it to you. Mm-hmm. It's a no.
Right.
And letting it be that. And that negatively affected me because then I would walk around feeling some sort of way, mm-hmm. being passive aggressive because I feel some sort of way. Now they're going on about their business. They've got what they wanted, but then I feel like here I go again, not upholding the boundary that I set for myself. And it's valid. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you agree with it, my feelings are valid. And I would never just let my feelings be my feelings, because for me, although I'm not, you won't outwardly know, but I am sensitive. To a degree. Like, I am sensitive. I've gotten better, but I'm still sensitive. So there would just be like a level of like, I'd be like, you know what, you know. But yeah, that's something that I like, definitely, like a big no.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's just that's good. I think what people have to understand is that boundaries are safeguards.
Yes, they are.
And I had to look at that and through that lens, because a lot of times is that people walk around with no boundaries and they don't understand why they're so easily offended.
Correct.
And they get upset, they're mad, and sometimes it's because of the fact a person has to look back over their life and really see, I don't have no boundaries.
Absolutely.
I don't have no boundaries.
You have to.
And so as you were speaking, that thought came to my mind. It's like boundaries are literally safeguards.
Absolutely.
Safeguards.
They are. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to have them. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to set them up. And it's okay. And I feel like the people who you're safe with, you can relax. Your nervous system is safe. They'll begin to, again, like I said earlier, you may not always understand it. You may not. And I feel like also boundaries will shift in seasons, because there's certain boundaries that we may not have now that, you know, when we become married women, that may be, you know, something different. Right. And so you have to be dedicated and willing to evolve with each other. Yes. You know, when both of us, you know, were in ministry when we met already, but we've evolved and the Lord has expanded us. And so things have changed with that, you know. So there's a boundary with prayer time. Like,
oh, yes.
Okay. There's a boundary with prayer time, but even stuff like that, there's a boundary with study time. If I know, you know, Angel knows I'm preaching, if she knows, okay, Kiara's in consecration right now, because we're not always on consecration at the same time. Sometimes it is. But if she knows, okay, Kiki's preparing, I'm not answering my phone from this time to this time. I always knew, like, Angel, so funny. Angel's prayer time always used to be at 11 p.m. Always at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. I would not call her because, one, I respect, first of all, the office that she sits in, right? Not only as my best friend, not only as my sister, I respect her as the gift that God has given the body of Christ. So one, I just went into it like I'm not going to intentionally. Now, if it's an emergency, if it's something, if I need to get in contact with her, that's different, and vice versa. But I knew, okay, at 11, that's a boundary. I'm not talking to you on the phone right at this right point. Now, if I'm conscious, this, when do you feel like secrets get dangerous in friendship?
It's dangerous when it affects that person negatively in a bad way. That's what I think.
And your character.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like if it has the potential to be detrimental to the other person, even to yourself, I feel like that should be something. Or if I'm attached to you and we're friends and there's something that can be detrimental just even by default, by just even being around, that's something that needs to be disclosed. Like, if I'm gonna find out something crazy like about you, baby, disclose that before if it's something that's gonna hit the internet waves, I would like to be notified. If it's something
to what extent, because I know I just hit on about loyalty, to what extent should you be loyal to me if I'm indulging myself into something and I'm keeping it a secret, and you supposed to be my friend that holds me accountable? Yes. To what extent should loyalty play in a circumstance like that? Like, for example, if you know, I'm gonna put myself in that. I was about to say a scenario. Hold on, your words got power.
I always got it.
I was about to say, hold on, but no. For example, like, let's say somebody is doing something that they should not be doing, and who we are as Christians, as women of God, we're their friend. And we hold them accountable, and we know this secret because they told us, and we just going to turn a blind eye to that. I mean, is that loyalty? What is that?
I feel like at a certain point, if I'm your best friend, I'm going to cover you, right? I'm going to cover you, but there will be conversation.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm going to cover you. I believe in covering you publicly, privately, making sure your slip is not showing. But at a certain point, even like I said, if it does not affect me directly, even if it's out here affecting you and you're in a negative light, there will be conversation. Because at some point, if you don't have people around you that can pull you in and pull your coattail and say, hey, you need to sit down, like, hold up,
that's not right what you're doing.
You're just a person that's gonna fail.
Right.
You're gonna fail because you need a level of accountability. Yeah. Somebody needs to be able to check you. And if you don't have nobody that can hold you accountable, you just out here setting yourself up for failure because you won't know how far you're supposed to go. And I feel like there's a difference. Loyalty comes in where it's like, I may not expose you. If I see you doing wrong, that doesn't mean that I have to broadcast it to the world. Not. That's loyalty in play. Like, I'm not going to broadcast your failures, your slip hanging. I'm not going to broadcast your stuff. But you best believe there will be a conversation between you and I. And the world may not always know it, as far as what I've said to you. However, there will be conversation. And I feel like you cannot allow loyalty in the name of loyalty to outweigh me holding you accountable, because me holding you accountable is not disloyal.
Right.
Me holding you accountable is saying that I love you enough to tell you the truth and to hold you to a standard that I know you can do better.
And that's genuine love.
Exactly. And that's real love. And some of y'all are accustomed to fake love, and y'all just let, people just let you do what they want because they're either fearful of your response, or they're fearful of I want to just mind my business.
And the Bible says, faithful are the wounds
of a friend. Thank you. A friend is what? Born?
Through the times of adversity.
There you go. And there's a friend that's exposed to interrupt.
Come on. We know about
it. Don't study me that. But I feel like it's not disloyal of me to check you.
Right.
And to hold you accountable. I just don't feel like me holding you accountable, you should be thankful. Like somebody out here loves me that much to hold me accountable. And to hold me accountable in grace, to hold me accountable in love, to hold me accountable in truth. You don't hold me accountable in condemnation or judgment, but I hold you accountable because the heart of it is, I know you can do better.
Come on.
And I'm not going to allow you to operate beneath. And I feel like that's part of maybe even a boundary. Like what people are missing is that we go to automatically hold our friends accountable in a spirit of aggression or, frustration sometimes because, sometimes if I know you could do better, I'd be frustrated like,
right.
But at the heart of that should be, I know you can do better.
And that's where you come in and you have to tarry with them.
Carry and tarry.
Listen, when you pissing me off and you ain't doing, it's not you ain't getting
no sense. Hello.
Sometimes you have to tarry with your friend.
Absolutely. And that's where the grace comes in. Well, you guys, I think that's all the time that we have for today. Yes. We're going to try to keep these to a certain minimum.
Thank you guys for joining in all this BS that we are talking about. I pray that this message will allow you to start setting boundaries in your life. And if you have any secrets, that you will be bold enough to share with your friends, because the friends that the Lord has placed in your life, they are there for a reason and they are safe havens.
Absolutely.
And so we love you guys. On to the next video.
On to see you on episode 3. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next time.